State offered things for newly elected officials, and I went to the seminars and for that, and I learned pretty quickly, and I wasn't afraid to ask questions or, put our best foot forward in the competition for the grants. So I actually went to Washington, D.C. I met with Congressman Jamie Clark at the time on behalf of Weaverville, and he was a great assistance to me in us getting the grant. So populations kept pushing out, and towns like Weaverville, Woodfin, and Mars Hill were beneficiaries of that, where people wanted to get away from Asheville and could commute in because the road system was better. And I would go to the schools and give presentations, and when I would go and talk to a class and talk to them about what might happen to Weaverville, like Weaver Boulevard, it was like, whoa, we need a McDonald's. We'd never had one. And much as people didn't like some of the brand stores and stuff like that, the majority did. And then with regard to employment, there were some big plants that located out here, from Sonopress to Revco Scientific, that replaced the old textile mills like Hadley and things like that. And so the transition to that was all part of it. Every business that opened on Weaver Boulevard from the time I was mayor through the time I left broke sales records from the Charlotte market west. There was that much demand because 3 counties were feeding through there: Madison, Yancey, of course, and Buncombe.
You have to do then to get the lake project?
Yeah, we actually put it out for bid and selected a contractor who drained the lake. It was during that time that we pulled a car out of the lake that had been driven into there and left. The carp that were in the lake were just huge. They were 20 and 25 pounds that we got out of there. But we put the water back, dredged it out, did retention ponds, did the walking trail, first fitness center, and then subsequent councils have added to it. It at the time seemed somewhat controversial to people, but in hindsight you look at it and say, whoa, it makes sense. But it's really hard when you're in the leadership position to get people to think forward in the impact. And I wanted to protect Weaverville's boundary. At that time, you had involuntary annexation and not just voluntary. So I put in what's called extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction, which is a way of protecting a town's boundaries. And my vision was to protect it, to keep Woodfin from growing into us or Asheville or Mars Hill. The mayor only voted in the event of ties, and with 5 commissioners, rarely did you have a tie. And we had one commissioner resign, so I got to vote for a replacement commissioner in one, and the other was for the Rims Creek Golf Course, which was a very controversial thing at the time because it really changed Weaverville in some people's minds because of golf course community. They aren't Weaverville folk and stuff like that. I voted for that. I was the deciding vote on that. We were approached by them, and they wanted to bring water and sewer to the golf course, which at that time Weaverville did own its own sewer system. Subsequently, even during my subsequent years, we conveyed it to the Metropolitan Sewers District, or MSD. And so I was pleased to vote for that. The group that came in and developed it has done a nice job with it, and it's produced several commissioners and mayors like Al Root since. Lake Louise, I think even before I got in, was recognized as a landmark for Weaverville. You go up past Lake Louise and you go up into the town. And people would say, why Weaverville? And now they say, why not Weaverville?